My name is Helene Eloff and today is June 30, 2020. South Africa's level 3 lockdown regulations have been amended and we have many new freedoms that we didn't have before. So if you want to know where you can go and how you can go there, whether you need a permit or what else you need to move between, for example, provinces, then you should watch this video. Also check out Caxton Local Media's news websites. We are working on some updates there. So basically, we distinguish between moving within provincial boundaries and moving across provincial boundaries. If you travel within a province, you should not need a permit for whatever reason. Don't know if you've realized this, but we can now even travel for leisure purposes, which gives us wide movement abilities once again. So in other words, if you need to go from one point to another within a province, you shouldn't need a permit. However, there are still some activities we can't do. We'll get to them towards the end of this video. You can exercise between 6 and 6, as I'm sure you know by now, and you can attend a place of worship as long as it's in the same province as you are. And now, what do you do if you need to cross provincial boundaries for whatever reason? The general rule is that movement between provinces is still prohibited, but there are many exceptions, and chances are that if you're watching this, you fall under one of the many exception categories. When you move between provinces, you will either need a very good reason for doing so and ideally a document attesting to that reason or a permit. So the regulations provide permits for certain situations and we're going to list them. After that, we'll discuss situations that necessitate interprovincial movement but that may not have permits provided and what you should do if you fall within that category. So there are permits for interprovincial travels for work, taking someone to school or a place of learning, going to such a place yourself, attending a funeral, moving homes, including moving children between homes, and then there is the Form 6 permit, which from the face of it allows only for moving between homes, but according to the latest regulations, you should be able to use Form 6 if you're traveling between provinces to assist a family member with some kind of problem or crisis. My suggestion is, if that describes you, go to your local police station or magistrate's court and get clarity on whether you can use Form 6 for that purpose or not. I'm going to drop a link in the comments on this video that will direct you to all the permits you may need and a nice description on how to get them. So if you come across this video on someone else's Facebook page, just do a search, Helene Eloff on Facebook, that's Helene, surname Eloff, and on my page you'll be able to access the link to the permits that you need. If you need to travel between provinces and you don't have a permit, what do? In short, you're going to need a document that attests to why you need to be moving between provinces. Good example is, let's say you have a doctor's appointment, you will then have a letter from your doctor explaining why it is necessary for you to cross provincial boundaries. Another example is, let's say you have a meeting with your lawyer or you have a trial. Your lawyer will then write you a letter saying why you need to cross provincial boundaries. And I am guessing, and it's a really informed guess, so you should be able to go to any other professional service in another province with that letter. So whatever the reason, ask the person you're traveling to whether they can issue you with that letter if you need to go there to get their product or services. If you are returning home from a place of isolation or quarantine, you should be able to cross provincial boundaries. Once again, ideally, you would have a document attesting to that. Now, Minister Dlamini Zuma has previously stressed that reasonableness is of utmost importance when the lockdown regulations are enforced. In other words, if you have a reasonable and urgent reason to travel between provinces, I really hope that technicalities will not get in your way. That said, try to get some documentary evidence with you. There are still activities that we cannot do that relate to interprovincial travel. And these include private accommodation for leisure, such as when you pay for accommodation in an Airbnb, in someone's private home. That is still not allowed. Sporting events as we used to know them and attend in our masses are still not allowed. Travel for education purposes are allowed, but subject to the extent to which the education department reopens their activities. And then you should always observe transport regulations. In the latest transport regulations, we still have some capacity restrictions, so just be sure to check them out before you travel. In my next video, I will be discussing gatherings. When can you go to a gathering and how should it be done legally?